Hello there, welcome back to Tourism Grade 11. In this video, I want to look at the question paper of November 2022. So we are going to start on the instructions and information on that question paper. So the question paper consists of five sections, and all questions in section A, B, C, D, and E are compulsory, which means you have to answer all of the questions that are in the question paper. So basically, this is what we have. Then the breakdown in terms of our sections. This is the breakdown that we have from section A to section E, giving us a total of 5 sections. So basically, this is what we have. And then, of course, the topics of each and every sections are again illustrated in the section of topic. So we go to the first part, which is now the multiple choice. The first question reads, the most suitable facility when exchanging rand for foreign currency? Of course, we have got major hotels, cruise liners, one of the resorts, and then we've got the foreign exchange bureau. So D is the correct answer. Number two, the capital city of Angola. Of course, we have different responses that were given, but the correct one is Luanda. So Luanda is the capital city of Angola. Moving on to number three, the most important factors to consider when compiling a tourist profile. So according to the responses that we have, we see that the trip motivator, budget, and dates, and length of tour is the correct answer, which we are having on A. And we got number four, valued items such as historic buildings that have been passed down from previous generations and from part of the history of a group or a nation is the heritage, which we have on A. And on number five, a person working in the hospitality industry should be able to work well in a team. So see that D is the correct response. And we go to number six, the Fish River Canyon attracts tourists to they attract tourists to Namibia. Remember, it is in Namibia. So we have got B as the correct answer. Number seven, if a Gautrain passenger scans the QR code on the information leaflet, he or she will connect to the Gautrain website, which is the correct response according to response given. Number eight, the annual National Arts Festival held in Dash draws large number of domestic tourists. Makanda is the correct response that we have. Number nine, a tour that is planned to depart on a regular basis, regardless of the number of tourists booked on the tour. You see that the correct one is a scheduled tour that we will see. Then on number 10, an example of a below-the-line promotional technique. A below-the-line promotional technique according to our responses. So the correct answer that we have is the exhibition, which we will be. Remember, looking at the below-the-line promotional technique, these are targeted marketing strategies that use direct and they also use personal and measurable methods to reach specific audiences. So that is what we have in terms of below-the-line promotional techniques. So according to our responses that we have, we see that exhibitions becomes the one that use the direct method. So we go to number 11, advice to a person hiring a motor vehicle from a car rental company. So according to the responses that we have, you would see that the correct response that we have is that check the vehicle thoroughly for any damage before leaving at the rental depot. So we have A. That's the correct response. We'll move on to the next part now, which is on number 12. These southern countries are bordered by the Indian Ocean on their eastern side. So you'll see that we've got Mozambique and Tanzania as the correct countries. So we have D. Should an emergency occur when traveling on the Gautrain, what is the best to do according to responses given? Uh, Press the alarm button in the carriage. So that is very important. Then we go to number 14. A market dash is another name for a group of tourist customers who are alike and share similar characteristics. So we have D. A market segment is another name for a group of tourist customers who are alike. So we have D. Then we move on to number 15. A traveler exchanging 32,250 for a business trip to Germany. Of course, this is 32,250 rands for a business trip to Germany when the exchange rate is 17.46 we receive. So, of course, according to the exchange rate given, you are supposed to divide 32,250 and then you divide it by 17.46, which is our denominator. And then if you divide, so you are going to get your answer is 1,847. 1,847 euros. Of course, we put 8 cents that we have, so we put B. That's the correct response. Then on number 16, the South African Minister of Tourism. We know that the South African Minister of Tourism, the recent South African Minister of Tourism is Patricia. Patricia de Lille. Then we go to number 17. A tour operator forms part of the dash sector of the tourist industry. So A, part of the travel organizer. So we have A as the correct answer. On number 18, the dash forms part of the folklore of different cultures in South Africa. We have A, storytelling, story telling. So that we move on to the next part of our question, which is number 19. A tour itinerary is a dash, a schedule including test times, activities, and accommodation of a tour, which you have on B. Then we go to number 20. A dash will assist employees in the tourism industry to improve customer service delivery, which is the constructive criticism, obviously, is the most appropriate. So we have a B. So with that, we move on to the next section, whereby you have to choose a term from column B that matches a description in column A. So first, a description is usually spoken with a slight bow and hands pressed together. We have the numbers that we have on D. A term to describe any food that complies with a strict set of dietary rules in Judaism. We have got the kosher, which we are having on H. Then a Japanese display of respect, remorse, gratitude, and greeting. It is obviously bowing, which we have on F. Then a large outdoor advertising structure. We have got billboard. Usually folded and only includes a summary of information that is promotional in character. We've got the broker, which we have on C. So this is all what we have on this section. So we move on to the next section that we have, which is going to be 1.3. You have to choose the correct word from those given in brackets. Of course, on the first part, a flight from New York, USA to Rome, Italy is classified as a, we've got transatlantic flight and or transcontinental flight. So the correct one is transatlantic, which we have on that part. And then 1.3.2, a Gautrain station that acts as a link to OR Tambo International Airport is, of course, this Central station. A person with a limited budget wanting to book a cruise on a luxury cruise liner should consider booking a dash or N. So should consider hiring an interior cabin, which we have on this part. Then a person who requires insurance against damage to the windscreen of a rented vehicle when hiring a vehicle will consider and WDW. Then you go to biometric scanners. Biometric scanners are used at international airports to scan passengers for COVID-19 or verify the identity of passengers. So the correct one is to verify the identity of passengers. Then you go to 1.4, choose a destination from the list given that matches the description below. Write only the words or words next to the question numbers. Of course, this is what we have on the first part. Namibia's most popular park for wildlife watching, which is also characterized by a large salt pan. So this is the Etosha National Park, which we are having on this part. So we are saying this is representing our 1.4.1. Then we go to this popular holiday destination built in the Lesotho Malut Mountains offers a variety of water-based activities. This is the Kase Dam, which we try to see where it is stated. Of course, we see that according to the responses that we have on this part, which is 1.4.2. Then we move on to the next part. This attraction is one of the highest concentrations of rock art in the world. We have got at the Sondilo Hills, which represents our 1.4.3. And 1.4.4, the world's largest man-made lake along the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe. It is Lake Kariba, which we have on this part, which is 1.4.4. Then a luxury tropical holiday destination located off the south coast of Mozambique. We've got the Bazaruto Archipelago, which we have on this part, which is now the 1.4.5. So this is what we have on this section. And then we move on to the next part, which is 1.5. You have to start the image of an airplane and the descriptions given. Identify the areas labeled 1.5.1 to 1.5.5. So with that, we see that we have got 1.5.1, which has got flight instruments, and we call the section the cockpit. And then we also have 1.5.2, the travel class section. The travel class section, which is the business class. So we have the business class. So 1.5.3, we have got the travel class section, which is the economy class. And 1.5.4, storage of check-in baggage, which is the cargo hold. Then 1.5.5, storage of food and beverages, which is the galley. So basically, this is what we have on this section. Then at the end of our section A with a total of 40 marks. So with that, we move on to the next question, which is now question 2. So question 2 is map work and tour planning. Of course, you have to start the extract and answer the questions. We are given a ride a motorbike through the wild African bush. Of course, this is the information that we have that you need to go through. Then on the first question, you have to give 2 reasons why the above mentioned tour will be suitable for tourists from a high income bracket. So if you try to go there, you'll see that if you come at this point, it is a two nice 4 to 5 star accommodation along the panorama route. So you'll see that the issue that we have got a 4 to 5 star luxury accommodation indicates that it is for a high income bracket. So that we can conclude that. So this is what we can mention according to our answer section, whereby we are saying the tour members will stay in 4 to 5 star luxury accommodation. The itinerary mentions that the tour is exclusive, space is limited to 6 riders per tour. So this is another point that you can also quote from the extract is given. Then moving on to the next part, which is now 2.2. The above mentioned tour package will appeal to the SI tourists. State your opinion on the statement giving a relevant motivation. So, of course, you will have to give your opinion on that. So, in response to that, the SI tourist is a tourist that has a special interest in a specific activity. Therefore, the target market of the above mentioned tour is tourists that are not only interested in nature, but more specifically in motorbike riding through the African bush. So, this is the possible response that we can give. So, go to the next part of our question, which is now 2.3. State one reason why this tour is limited to a maximum of 6 riders per tour. So in response to that, there could be a limitation on the number of motorcycles that are available, or it is easier to manage a smaller number of motorcycles, and also the tour operator wants to keep the tour exclusive. So this becomes the last part that we have in terms of question 2. The total of 8 marks. We go to the next part, which is now question 3. Assign the images and answer the questions. Of course, you are given signs of currencies. And then also we've got another picture that we have beside. Then state the name of the currency. We have to state the name of the currency labeled A. And, but from there, you can clearly see that the currency that we have as presented is the euro. So it is the euro, and then we've got the name, the country that is the currency labeled B, of which B we are here, which represents the currency of Japan. There's the yen. And then we go to 3.3, refer to the image labeled C, which is the image that we have on this part. And the question says, discuss the impact that tourist spending we have on the economy of the region visited. So what is the impact that tourist spending we have on the economy of the region? So obviously, we are going to have high tourist spending in that region. As indicated that since we are going to have inbound tourists in that area, we are going to see businesses receiving more revenue from that. So with in explanation to that, the economy of the region will improve as members of the local community can earn an income from tourism by selling products and services to visiting tourists. That's the first point. And also jobs, that is direct employment and indirect employment, will be created. Another point, when money is spent in the local community, the money will have the effect of being multiplied later in that local economy. Next point, the economy of the region will benefit from the tourist contribution to the economy of the area. So these are the points that we have on 3.3. Then moving on to 3.4. So on 3.4, use the exchange rate table provided to answer the questions. So this is the table that we have of the exchange rate. So 3.4.1, calculate the amount of foreign currency that a traveler will receive when exchanging 80,500 rands in preparation for a trip to the United States of America. So the exchange rate for the United States of America, remember it uses the dollar. So it's on this part. So the exchange rate is 14.74 as indicated. So to exchange 18,500 rands, you're going to divide 18,500 by 14.74. So we can divide and see what we get. So basically, it's going to be 18,500 divided by 14.74 as indicated. Then we divide by 14.74. And see that if you divide, you're going to get your answer is 1,000. Answer will be in dollars, so it's 1,255. $1,255.09. Obviously, two decimal places. So that is the calculation on that part. But on 3.4.2, we calculate the amount in rand that a South African traveler will receive when exchanging 25 pounds upon his return from a trip to England. Round off your answer two decimal places. So take notes on the part of rounding off. So 25 rands, 25 pounds, that is going to be exchanged to rands. We're going to multiply 25 times the rate on pounds that we have, which is 20.28. So we multiply by 20.28. So basically, it's going to be 25 pounds, and then we multiply by 20.28, and then we get a total of, we get a product there of 507 rand. So basically, it becomes 507 rand. So this is the calculation that we have on the second part. Then with that, we move on to the next part now. Remember, this is the last part that we have in terms of our question 3.4.2, and last part of our question 3 with a total of 20 marks on section B. So we move on to the next section, which is going to be our section C. So question 4, you have to refer to the map of the SADC countries and images of attractions and answer the questions. Of course, we can see that we've got the map on this part. Then we've got the images are besides the map. Then, of course, on the first part, you have to start the images above showing SADC countries attractions and link each image with the name of the SADC country and complete the table below. Write only the name of the SADC attraction next to the question number. So, of course, Democratic Republic of Congo, the name of attraction that we see in the Democratic Republic of Congo, according to the images that we have, you'd see that it is the Virunga National Park, which we have on this part. So we have the Virunga National Park. And of course, on 4.1.2, we have got Lesotho. The one that we find in Lesotho, it is the Sun Pass, which we are having on this part. We go to Mozambique. So for Mozambique, we have got the Lake Nyasa, which we are having on this part. And of course, on the next part, we have got Namibia, where we have the Namib Desert as indicated on this part. Then we've got the fourth one, we've got Tanzania, where we have Mount Kilimanjaro as indicated. Then we go to the last part, we have got Zimbabwe, where we have the Matopo Hills. So basically these are the representations. And then we move on to the next question, whereby we have got 4.2, give an example of one adventure activity tourists can participate in at the attraction identified in question 4.1 when visiting Lesotho. So Lesotho, for Lesotho, we said this is the Sun Pass. So what is an adventure activity that can be enjoyed? We have got on that part, we have got hiking. There can be hiking in Sun Pass. So those are the activities that we can mention in terms of Lesotho. We have got hiking. We can also include the 4x4 driving. No, we have 4x4 driving, and also we have got hiking. So on the next one, we have got Namibia, where we have the Namib Desert. So what any one adventure activity in the Namib desert, you'll see that we have got a horse riding can be one of them. So we've got a list of them whereby you can include sandboarding. Sandboarding is one of them. We also have quad biking, what air ballooning, horse riding, skydiving, desert tours by bicycle. So these are possible adventures that we can have. Of course, on the next one is Tanzania. Remember, Tanzania is Mount Kilimanjaro. So what can we pick from Mount Kilimanjaro? Uh, we can have mountain climbing. Mountain climbing is also a part of that. So we've got mountain climbing, hiking, trekking, horse riding in Mount Kilimanjaro. So this is what we have on question 4. So this is the last part with a total of 80 marks. So we move on to the question 5, whereby we have to start the review posted on TripAdvisor, the world's largest online travel planner, and other questions. So on that, we have got the information given that we need to go through. So on the first part, identify one unique aspect of Xhosa culture that the tour group encountered as they entered the Kaya Labantu Xhosa cultural village. So we refer to what we are given and see if we can be able to come up with the answers as required. So if you come with this part, so you see that there is, upon our arrival, the atmosphere was electric with the sound of beating drums, traditional dancing, and also with colorful traditional clothing and singing. So these are the points that we can come up with. We've got beating drums, traditional dancing, traditional clothing, singing. So those are the ones that we can come up with. So we have beating drums, traditional dancing, traditional clothing, singing. Then on the next question, suggest 3 items of Xhosa arts and crafts that Robin and the tour group members would have been able to purchase during their visit to the Kaya Labantu Xhosa Cultural Village. So we can see traditional clothing can be part of that. The clay pots, also baskets, can also be part of that. So a list of them that could be bought. So we've got traditional clothing, beadwork, clay pots, baskets, wooden mats, wooden sculptures, traditional music instruments, traditional weapons. So these are the possible answers for that part. Then explain the Xhosa custom of Lobola. So the Xhosa custom of Lobola. So we check in terms of our question, which is our 5.1.3. So our response to that, the Xhosa culture of Lobola is explained here on 5.1.3. The bridegroom compensates the family of his fiancée for a help in marriage by giving cattle or the monetary value thereof. So that is what we have in as the explanation of the Xhosa culture in Lobola. So moving on to the next part now, which is now 5.2, you have to start the information and answer the questions. You are given as Sibudu Cave finally declared a national heritage site. So of course you need to go through. Information is given. So the first question says, name the agency of the Department of Arts and Culture that declared Sibudu Cave a National Heritage Site in 2020. So this is according to our responses. You see that this is the SAHRA. And on the next question, provide proof from the extract that Sibudu Cave can be linked to some of the earliest examples of human technology. So if you refer back to the information as given, the evidence will be on the spot whereby it reads a wide variety of bone tools. So basically that's where we can come up with the evidence. So this is exactly stated in the other section whereby we have got evidence has been found of a wide variety of bone tools and bone arrowheads for hunting. So that's what we have. On the next part, now to explain one way in which the agency mentioned in question 5.2.1 will protect a nationally declared archaeological heritage site such as Sibudu Cave. So in response to that, a permit will have to be obtained from the SAHRA in order to make any changes to the site, for example, conducting excavations. So on the last part of our question 5, give one reason why Sibudu Cave needs to be managed and protected. To ensure that the site is preserved for future generations. The preservation of the site will provide opportunities for research into early human behavior during the Middle Stone Age. The protection of the site will contribute to a greater understanding of early human behavior during the Middle Stone Age. So these are the responses that we have on question 5. Of course, we move on to the next question, which is now going to be our question 6. So moving on to question 6, study the extract from the promotional campaign below and answer the questions. So we are given the extract that you need to go through before you attempt the questions. The first question says, identify the tourism business responsible for the promotional campaign. But if you go to the information is given, you see that we have it as mentioned here, which is a travel start. So we have travel start. As the business are responsible for the promotional campaign. So moving on to the next part, identify the potential tourists targeted in the promotional campaign. So you see that according to information given, we can try to refer to see that we have got wildlife enthusiasts are also part of that. And then also we have we can also include the leisure tourists can also be part of that. Nature lovers also can also be part of that. So we have the mentioned in our answer section. Whereby we can include ecotourists, wildlife enthusiasts, leisure tourists, nature lovers also can also be correct responses. So looking at the above the line technique, basically you see that the above the line technique is a mass media advertising strategy I used to promote a brand to a wide, it should be a wide general audience through channels like television, radio, newspapers, and billboard. So the question requires us to name one above the line technique. So we try to go to our information and see the context in terms of what we are given. So in terms of our question, it requires us, it reads that the tourism business makes use of two advertising techniques in their marketing campaign, name one above the line. So this is from your own knowledge, so we can include email as part of above the line technique. We can include email, internet-based advertising also, and also web-based advertising also can also be part of that. So we have them as listed. So we have email, internet-based advertising or online advertising, electronic advertising, web-based advertising. So these are the examples that we have. Then on the next part, we are supposed to include the below the line. One above the line technique and then one below the line technique. So in terms of now below the line, we can include items like sales promotion, special offer, also part of our below the line technique. So I will go to 6.4, suggest one reason for the tourism business not to consider renting space or time on television for their marketing campaign. So it is obviously based on the cost. It is obviously based on the cost. So we are saying the cost of renting television advertising space is very high. So that's the reason why we are having that such a scenario. So we move back to see in terms of the next question that we have, which is now question 6.5. Motivate two personnel costs that would have been included in the budget for the above mentioned promotional campaign. So two personnel costs that we can include. So you'd see that the cost of the personnel that has to be paid to make the marketing activities also can be one of the costs that we can include. So we are saying the personnel must be employed and paid to make phone calls and send emails to the advertising agency and accommodation establishments that form part of the marketing campaign is our first point. And then also personnel must be employed and paid to communicate with potential customers who are interested in the offer and customers that have booked online. So this becomes the last question that we have, of course, in terms of our question 6 with a total of 12 marks. So from there, we move on to the next question, which is going to be our question 7. The question 7 is on section D, which is on tourism sectors. So the first question, start the collage and answer the question. So we have got pictures that we have that we need to go through. We have got the check-in counters, baggage rep, baggage claim area, also the boarding gate. So these are the areas that are indicated. So in terms of the first part, 7.1.1, name one document that a passenger must hand to the airline staff member when checking in for a flight, and the counters labeled A. So counter labeled A. We are here. So what document should be handed in? Of course, identification document, identity, which is ID, which is identity document. We also have a passport, can also be part of that. A driver's license is also an alternative, and the proof of identification basically it can also be an alternative that we can include. So we have them as mentioned in our other section. So we have identity document, passport, driver's license, proof of identification. So we move on to the next part, which says set the area of the airport building that the area labeled C is located in. The area labeled C, which is the baggage claim area. So where exactly is it located is the question. That is the air site. It is part of the air site. Then in terms of the next question, question 7.1.3, state one advantage of a passenger making use of the equipment labeled B. So equipment labeled B, we have it on this part, which is the baggage rep. So what is the advantage of using the baggage rep? So you'd say that these are the advantages that we have. Wrapping the baggage will protect the contents of the item of luggage from being tampered with. And also wrapping the luggage will protect the contents of the item of luggage should the zip break. So those are the advantages that we have with that part. Then moving on to the next question, which is now 7.1.4. Give one advantage for a business class passenger when he or she is in the area labeled D. So business class passenger when in D, of which we have a D as our boarding gate on this part. So going back to our question, remember the question says one advantage of a business class passenger when he or she is in the label D. So what is the advantage? So you see that the advantage is that business class passengers are allowed to board the airplane before the economy class passengers. One, two, there are maybe a business class lounge where business class passengers can relax and they will not have to sit on the uncomfortable chairs in the image. So that is the advantage that is there. Then moving on to the next part now, which is now 7.1.5. Explain two steps in the check-in procedure other than the step mentioned in question 7.1.1 that a passenger must follow when checking in for a flight. So two steps in the check-in procedure other than the steps mentioned in 7.1.1. 7.1.1 is the issue of handing in your identity document. So other than that one, they need two steps in the check-in procedure. So what are the steps that we have? So these are the steps that we have, and the staff member will check if the passenger is booked on the flight. The member will ask the passenger if he or she has a preference for a specific seat in the airplane. If the passenger has luggage, it will be weighed, and the staff member will put on a luggage ticket onto it, and it will be loaded on the airplane. The staff member will give the passenger a boarding pass, which will allow him or her to board the airplane. So these are the points that we have on 7.1.5. And moving on to the next part, which is now 7.1.6, explain the function of the counter labeled E in the image. Labeled E, we refer back, you see that E, we have got a counter that we have on this part. So the question requires us to explain the function of that counter. So we refer back to the counter. So this is the counter that we have. So the function of that counter is the final verification of passengers who will be boarding a specific flight. The final verification of passengers who will be boarding a specific flight is done at this counter by the relevant airline. So this is one of them. And also the airline staff will check the passenger's boarding pass and identification and will allow him or her access to the airplane. So these are the two responses that we have. And of course, 7.1.7 suggests one way whereby AXA, and remember AXA is the airport company of South Africa, can indicate to disembarking passengers with carousel, which carousel they should use when collecting their baggage in the image labeled C. So in the image labeled C, we refer back to that image. On this image labeled C, which is the baggage claim area. So referring back to the question is saying, suggest one way where AXA can indicate, whereby AXA can indicate to disembarking passengers which carousel they should use when collecting their baggage in the image labeled C. So in response to that, AXA provides an electronic board above the carousel indicating the airline and the flight number that passengers will disembark from. So this is our response on that part. Then moving on to the next question, which is 7.2. Start the diagram below. So of course, this is the diagram that we have. 7.2.1 to 7.2.5. So it is the child is renting a vehicle for the first time and is unsure about some of the details in the rental agreement. Assist him by responding to each of the queries. Of course, 7.2.1 is name the preferred method of payment when renting a vehicle. So it is a credit card. Then on the next part, 7.2.2, identify one type of optional equipment that can be included in the rental agreement. So this one is the child safety seats, GPS, paraplanking, hand controls. So these are the responses for 7.2.2. Then on the next part, we have got 7.2.3, discuss the concept of a fuel deposit. What is the concept of a fuel deposit? When a vehicle is rented, the fuel tank is full. The renter is expected to return the vehicle with a full tank of fuel. The rental company will charge the amount of a full tank of fuel to the rental agreement and refund the amount if the vehicle fuel tank is full on return. So that is the condition. Then you go to 7.2.4. Explain the difference between CDW, and CSDW. So this is the difference. CDW stands for collision damage waiver. If the renter takes the SCDW option, the premium or payment will be higher, but the excess payment will be less if the vehicle is involved in a collision or accident. So these are the responses that we have. Then I'm moving on to 7.2.5. Explain the function of the contract fee. So this is an amount added to the rental fee of the vehicle that covers the administration cost of the rental company. So that is what we have for that question. For the next part now is 7.3. Read the extract from a beginner's guide to train travel in South Africa and answer the question. Then we are given social laws a mail long distance passenger train. So we've got information that we're given that we need to go through. So question 7.3, you have to read this extract from Beginner's Guide to Train in South Africa and answer the questions. So of course, you're given an extract of social laws are mail long distance passenger trains that you need to go through. So in terms of our 7.3.1, explain what a first-time train traveler in South Africa can expect when having a meal in the restaurant car or the social laws are mail. So of course, in response to that, you'd see that we should expect the restaurant car that the restaurant car offers meals in a communal facility. Also, seating is on the bench style. It's on the bench style seats with basic table settings. So these are other expectations that we have. Also, meals are simple, not elaborate cuisine. Then we've got also the last part, meals are not included in the ticket price. So basically, these are the responses in terms of the expectations. So moving on to the next part now, 7.3.2, discuss the significance of the reference to the cost comparison between the social laws mail and the blue train in the extract. So within that context, our response is a trip on the social laws mail costs 609 rands and offers the passengers the same wonderful scenery as the blue train, which costs a huge amount of money. Alternatively, on the other response, the cost comparison is indicating that a trip on the social laws mail is better value for money than a trip on the blue train. So this is what we have on 7.3.2. So we move on to our next part, 7.3.3. Compare the level of comfort on board at the social laws mail in relation to the blue train. So again, we have our response whereby the social laws mail offers a basic level of comfort, whereas the blue train is an extremely luxurious train. So this is what we have. We move on to 7.4. 7.4, start the images and answer the question in the table below. Number your answers correctly according to the table. So of course, you see that we have got some images that were given on top. Of course, we have got a ship that we have, and also we have got a bus. So in terms of 7.4.1, name one operator that offers each of the modes of transport indicated in South Africa. So it's that the one that offers ships, which operator is that, and also which operator offers buses. So we have those operators as indicated again, whereby we have got for A, for the ship, we've got the MSC Cruises, then for the bus, which is image B, Intercape, Translux also, seat to seat also is also part of that as our examples. Then on the second category, we have to state what facility available on each of the modes of transport indicated. So in the ship, in the cruise, what we have. So in the cruise, we have
We check what is indicated in the cruise. We have got various adventures that we can see. We see that we have got the casino. Restaurants could also be found inside, spa and fitness centers, shops, available, theater, cinema, swimming pools, and various points that were also correct that we can include. So we refer back, see in terms of the next part. Remember, we also want to see what facility we can see in the buses. So in the buses, you are going to see that we have bathroom facilities, a variety of types of seats. Snack kiosk can also be part of the buses. Then on the next category, we've got discuss one reason why a tourist would make use of each of the modes of transport indicated. So in terms of that now, we see that for travel on luxury cruise liner is about the leisure experience and not about getting from point A to B. Therefore, the reason for travel on luxury cruise liner is leisure. And then we go to B. Travel on tour bus is a relatively cheap transport option to travel between cities or towns in South Africa. So those are the reasons behind that. The travels, and of course, you see that this is the last part that we have on this page. Moving on to the next page, 7.5, we have to read this, the newspaper article from the Penica Times and other questions. So this is the newspaper article of Remos, Italian restaurant hit by COVID-19 lockdown. So you need to go through everything before you attempt to answer the question. Then in terms of 7.5.1, identify two personality traits that Michelle Paglia required to save Remos Italian restaurant from closure during the COVID-19 pandemic. In response to that, our responses are dedication to excellent customer service delivery, a positive attitude and eagerness to learn, passion and enthusiasm, endurance. So those are the possible responses that we can give. Then we have got a 7.5.2. Culinary skills and sound business practices are essential if the restaurant industry is to survive the COVID-19 pandemic. Discuss this statement by referring to the approach taken by Michelle Paglia, who is co-owner of Remio. So in response to that, Paglia put culinary skills into practice when she used the fresh produce to cook and freeze a variety of Romio's favorite sauces and dishes instead of letting them go to waste. So further responses we also have that we can include that are correct. So moving on to our question 8, you have to start the Twitter extract and answer the questions. Of course, this is what we have. So in terms of the first question, it will identify the South African domestic tourism marketing campaign. So I would say that according to the information given, it is short-lived as indicated. So basically, this is what we have on that part. Then moving on to the next part now, which is the current slogan used for South African domestic tourism marketing campaign. The current slogan, so we check according to the information that we have, which is the slogan. So if you come here to that, the slogan is indicated here, whereby it reads, "It's your country, enjoy it." So that is the slogan that we have. So moving on to the next part, which is now 8.1.2. A great number of South Africans still do not travel domestically. Motivate above the above statement by providing 3 reasons. So the reasons of not traveling domestically. So we have them as mentioned, as we are One of them is no reason to take a trip. Also, it can be reason of no time to travel, maybe due to work, also dislike to travel, unemployment, a lack of travel culture, especially amongst previously disadvantaged communities, limited tourism product development, concerns over safety and security also can be a reason. So from that, we move on to the next part, whereby 8.1.3, identify the domestic tourism market segment targeted in the domestic tourism marketing campaign on Twitter. So it is obviously, if you go back to the marketing campaign, you would see that it is the New Horizon families. It is the New Horizon families, is indicated in our answer section. We have got the New Horizon families as indicated on 8.1.3. So you would see that the New Horizon families is a term used in the South African tourism sector to describe a target market of families and individuals over 35 who are looking for rewarding travel experiences, often are seeking deals on holidays to escape our daily pressures. So what we have, so this group is motivated by educating their children, also on spending quality time together. So that is our New Horizon families. So moving on to the next part now, which is the B part. On the B part now, it is give one reason why the on 8.1.3 we identified the domestic tourism market segment targeted as the New Horizon families. So New Horizon families, basically, we described it as a term used in South Africa's tourism sector to describe a target market of families and individuals who are looking for a rewarding travel experiences, often seeking deals on holidays to escape our daily pressures. So you see that this group is motivated by educating their children and also motivated by spending quality time together in providing children with new perspectives through travel. So this is the New Horizon families. So on B, give one reason why the travel deal will attract the interest of the target of the identified market segment. So with that, you see that special offers on hotels will encourage this segment to travel, and also quality time for the family to spend together and the reward for hard work. Travel is a way to spend quality family time and broaden the family's horizon. So further points we also have that are correct. Then moving on to the part C, whereby you have to discuss two strategic objectives of the domestic tourism growth strategy that will be achieved from the travel deal on Twitter. So on that part, we have to increase domestic tourism expenditure, increase domestic tourism volume, enhance measures and efforts aimed at addressing seasonality and equitable geographical spread. So those are the responses that we have. And of course, we move on to 8.2, study the map of the SADC member countries and answer the questions. So this is the map that we have. And of course, our question is name the countries labeled A and B. So you see that the country that we have is our A. We can try to identify which country we have in terms of A. And of course, the question requires us to identify A and A and so A is Zambia, and B, you'd see that B is Malawi. Then 8.2.2, you have to name the capital cities of the countries labeled C and D. And of course, for the country labeled C, the capital city is Victoria. And then for D, we've got Mbambane as the capital city. Then 8.2.3, growth in regional tourism would benefit the economies of SADC member countries, motivate the statement above. So you say that in response to that, an increase in the volume of tourists will generate an income for SADC member countries through tourist spending. So tourist spending, for example, we are talking about accommodation, attractions, shopping, and transportation. So another point, tourism is a labor intensive and a large number of people will be employed. So we also have the multiplier effect will be put in motion, which will lead to economic growth. So those are some of the points that we can include in terms of 8.2.3. So with that, we see that we have got 22 marks that we have on question 8. We move on to question 9.